teachings out there right now that teach about the feminine and teach women how to be in their feminine. And what they're teaching is fawning. Be soft and surrendered to a man's lead, and be sweet and agreeable and pleasing. I think for a long time also femininity has been associated with being childlike, right? The masculine is the adult, the feminine is the child. When we are in our feminine, we're kind of vulnerable and insecure and young and innocent. Is this resonating? Can you feel the anger bubbling in the space? So, women learn that to be feminine, I mean, you can see the misogyny in it because you can see how men shame other men for being feminine. Don't be a pussy, right? Don't be a pussy, which means being weak, being little, being a child. I have a theory that in a lot of the personal self-development world, when they teach people, whether it's men or women or any gender, how to get in touch with their feminine side, what they're teaching is how to get in touch with the inner child. Can you comment and tell me if that lands? Right? Vulnerable, insecure, weepy, sad. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, we all have an inner child. We all have a sensitive, vulnerable side. There's nothing wrong with that. So I'm not shaming that. But do you see the misogyny? What femininity is, if I'm just going to be really blunt, is a complete neutering of the feminine. And what we have done to women and the way we have enculturated women into femininity is the same thing we've done to the goddess. Suck in the belly, tighten the corset, play weak, faint, small, childlike, I need to be taken care of. So I'm just gonna let that sit because everyone's like, my brain is exploding. I'm gonna say it again. A lot of what people are doing in personal self-development when they help people get in touch with their inner feminine or their feminine side is they're teaching you to get in touch with your inner child. And they even teach us that men like that men are sexually attracted to that makes men want to be with you. Someone's saying that makes me sick to my stomach. If you look at particularly the polarity teachings, like David Data's work, and there's a lot of people that are doing kind of offshoots of that, if you really study it and look at it, what you'll see is that they're teaching that masculinity is the adult and femininity is the child. Masculine is the adult, feminine is the child. That's patriarchy. That is literally patriarchy, right? The father, father, daughter. And we've all seen this show up in our relationships, I think. This kind of like very deep imprint of this is very heteronormative too. So I'm not assuming that everyone on this call is heterosexual. But in romantic sexual relationships between men and women, that's a big feature that shows up, is like there's a father-daughter dynamic. You understand what I'm saying? Or that's what we think of as masculine and feminine, dominant, submissive, right? The caretaker and the one who's being taken care of. So I'm going to blow your mind even more. Ready? Femininity. Soft, vulnerable, childlike, sweet, people-pleasing, tender, also suck in the belly. What is the goddess? Round belly. She's like, whoa, right? Femininity is suck it in, right? Even that, there's so many layers to this. So if that's femininity, right? Let me think of how to say this. Right, so let's circle back to the beginning for a moment. This is a really deep piece. So I want you to really make sure that you're listening with your belly, listen with your feet, listen with your heart. Don't just listen with your mind right now, because it's not very linear what I'm about to say. The goddess as sacred immanence, right? The divine in matter, spirit in matter. The spark of the sacred that's right here on earth, in matter, in form, in body, in the trees and the wind and the rain and the flowers, right? The transcendent inside of the immanent. Women's bodies are a direct transmission of that, because women bring souls into flesh. Women bring the formless into form. Women bring spirit into matter. How do we do that, right? Creating a child in your womb is not just a physical matter process, it's a spiritual process. When does the soul enter? How does that happen? What is the subtle technology in the subtle bodies of women that knows how to pull down a soul and give it a body and give it form? Just feel the mystery and the magic of that. Feel how holy that is, right? So a woman's body is the bridge between spirit and matter, the bridge between transcendence and immanence, the bridge between formless and form. Not only that, is a birthing, okay, a woman giving birth is maybe the most feminine thing in the, if we could think of a symbol of the feminine, it would probably be a woman giving birth. Is a woman giving birth vulnerable and dainty, take care of me and suck in my stomach and being sweet and being, what is a woman giving birth? Dilating power, primal energy, dissension, ecstasy, pain, agony, tears, rage, ferocity, deep belly, sometimes orgasmic. Sometimes women have these like full body cosmic orgasms. So a woman giving birth is not being in her feminine. That doesn't make sense. And that can tell you everything you need to know about the difference between the feminine and femininity. That example right there, that symbol right there, that metaphor right there. For a very long period of time, women who were giving birth would literally be tied down to the bed or gagged or drugged because giving birth was so unfeminine, so unladylike. They didn't want to embarrass themselves or other people. Let's all breathe. Take a really deep breath. Giving birth is profoundly unfeminine in terms of femininity. Giving birth is profoundly unladylike. Yes, let's all take a deep breath in and make a sound with me. So take a breath in and just let it come from your gut.
To stay in contact and maintain that connection to ourself. Our sense of authority is placed outside of ourself. Yeah. And what we're doing is we're taking that authority back, but it's not that we're taking it back, it's always there, actually. We're just sort of peeling off the layers. We are detoxing, I could say, in this training to recall and to come back into resonance with what's already here and to turn up that volume. Yeah. To remember what is already here, what is already yours, what is already innate within you, what was never lost. And to build a solid container and foundation within your own system that can then support the profound level of truth that's going to be gushing out of you the more and more that you access that inner knowing, that life intelligence, that body intelligence. Yeah. So what we're doing is we're preparing our system for truth to be spoken through you, through your message, through your education. And this is what this training is here to empower you to do. Empower you with whatever message wants to come through you. Yeah. How does that sound? I just want to, I've got you on gallery view. I'm just like, can you give me some hand wiggles or some movements? Like, does that feel good for you? Is that why you're here? Did you even know that that's why you were here? Sexy as fuck. Yeah, Melanie, it's sexy as fuck. And as I come deeper into my own journey with all of this, the resources that are in this training are the bedrock, they're the foundation that support me to not lose my shit and to continue to stay with truth and to stay with sensation, to stay with the intensity that comes through my system, the more and more that I'm opening up my capacity to be with life, to be with all of life, and to allow life to be the teacher, to surrender myself, my soul to life, and let life move through me and be a vessel for life to get out of the way and to really embody what it is that this being here is meant to be here for. and not getting fixed and attached to any particular identity or narrative that I have about what this body is here for, but to constantly invite and open myself to the unknown, to the mystery, and to the intelligence of that mystery. And when I say not to lose your shit, this is kind of what I'm talking about, because when we start to cultivate or deepen a relationship with presence and the mystery and the feminine, which we're going to go into tomorrow with Maya Luna, there's a paradigm shift that happens, because we start to fully participate in life, but there's a lot of conditioning around control and needing to know that we've internalized, and which is literally in our cells. Yeah. So we oscillate between, or we can, or in my experience, can oscillate between gripping and needing to know, and finding that new imprint and experiences that it is okay and it is safe to lean into the mystery and the unknown and start to be guided by that. So we're going to be building a bridge, or deepening your bridge, because again, I don't know where everyone is at. We're going to be developing this pathway for you to actually jump into the unknown and surrender yourself to that.
I think that's something to take in as you're inviting people into possibility. They can't actually hear the invitation unless it's resonant in your being. So I'm going to talk a lot about what that embodiment looks like, the impact of that influence. So fast forward even to more recent times, I started noticing a massive global crumbling of leadership. Who else has been noticing that? Anybody noticing that leadership, as we know, is like really falling apart? There's a reason for that. I was like, well, nature doesn't just create chaotic things. There is an intelligence behind all the emergent states that we experience. Why is global leadership and leadership as we know it crumbling? So I know for me, there's two reasons that showed up. One is that every single human being is being called into their own leadership. We're no longer meant to be in a hierarchical leadership dynamic. That means that it's important that not only that we see ourselves as powerful, but that we recognize that every single person, no matter age, background, where they're from, what's going on for them, they're also powerful. So that's one big substantial shift in awareness. The second is that one cannot lead with false or insubstantial words anymore. It just doesn't land. There's no resonance. There's no impact. Think of words as frequency. Think of how frequency shifts your behavior, your mood, even like your health and vitality. And now think of a frequency that's just fake, like you kind of put, and then the difference of a frequency of a real instrument. It's a very different experience. If you've ever sat in like a symphonic orchestra with all those instruments, it's ecstatic because those live instruments have real transmission. When you look to synthetic music, you'll still feel it, but the transmission and the impact is very different. So embodied leadership is, I think, what's now emerging. Not that we collectively understand that, but those of us who are a little bit on the leading edge, leading the way, there's an understanding that I cannot do this unless I'm walking my talk. Two, everything I say, I need to understand it deeply and stand by it. And three, because of something called limbic resonance, which I'll get to in a moment, the only real leadership that's going to create lasting change now is the one coming from an embodied place. So hopefully in our time now in this session, we really get excited about the fact that you are a leader and you're practicing embodiment and you are embodied. I'm going to explain that in a moment. Even where you're at now, you have full embodiment. So I'll explain that in a moment. So that definition for me is very important. The fact that Maanee is bringing it up at the start, I think, is crucial, because everything that you do from this moment forward, especially with clients, who you are will have far more impact than anything you say or demonstrate. So I'm going to say that again. Who you are. This isn't me saying this. There are researchers, I think it was like 3 generations of medical doctors who had a look at a system in our body called the limbic system. And they started to recognize that what we are in terms of the culmination of life experience and what we have allowed ourselves to become up until this point is the thing that shapes everything. So, for example, maybe I'm promoting a health product and I want you to, like, you need to ingest this in order to be amazing. But when I get off my commercial, I never touch that thing. In fact, I'm kind of creeped out by it. You will not be able to have, like, you won't actually be attracted to that, even though you'll hear my words. There won't be a resonance. There won't be a transmission. There won't be an imprint. So it's very, very important to understand, and this is actually exciting, that we almost can't lie to people anymore. And leaders are used to being charismatic and making promises, a lot of promises they can't keep. I think nowadays what we're looking for, instead of these epic promises, yes, it's good to have vision, is what can I do right now? Because it's too overwhelming. All the things that we're facing, it's too overwhelming. So with yourself, with your clients, with what you're creating, what could we do right now? Maanee led you through breathing. She led you through spatial awareness. She led you through somatic awareness, touch awareness. These are all really important ways of what can we do right now. So I'll give an example of how limbic resonance works, but first I'll explain it. Limbic resonance. So limbic is the mammalian system. The idea behind a mammalian system, and this is true for all mammals, not just human beings, is that it's an open circuit. What that means is a baby learns through direct contact of body and presence of its main caregiver, usually mother, how to digest. The mother doesn't explain this with words. Her body is digesting. So her body is teaching the baby body how to digest, teaching the baby body how to sleep, teaching everything that is a functional human function through proximity, through embodiment. That's how limbic resonance works. So initially in life, we have limbic imprinting, deeply imprinted with the embodiment of our caregiver. Now, I want to encourage all of you, because I'm going to talk a lot. I don't have a lot of time. I want to give you a lot of information, is just to keep taking deep breaths. You can get up and shake. You can kind of like squeeze your body, stretch. Just do whatever you need to do, hydrate, to take care of yourself as I'm speaking. Unlike Maanee, I probably won't stop and have you do integrative experiences as I speak, because I get quite excited. So I'm just going to imagine that you'll take care of that for yourself. Okay, so I want to explain resonance, because limbic imprinting, you understand, we learned that from our first contact, all our systems get imprinted. The good news is that we can be re-imprinted. So if we didn't have the best imprinting, we can re-imprint. Why? The whole system is malleable. The whole system can be rewritten. But it's actually going to take literally embodied leadership, a very clear presence for the re-imprinting to happen.